Hello everyone, today we're going to be talking about Adventure Phantom Knights. More specifically, I wanted to talk about how the meta recently has sort of tightened up, particularly in the Diamond tier, where it's seemingly becoming a little bit more difficult than it has been to succeed with certain off-meta strategies. I want to display that across the next couple of videos. In this video, we're going to be talking about a deck that is impacted negatively by that, Adventure Phantom Knights. I found whenever I was trying to use this deck on the ladder, we were just taking L's left, right, and center. That could, of course, just be me. I could just suck. I could have just been getting unlucky. But it just feels like the amount of control and hand traps and hate, and especially graveyard hate with the amount of Exo Sisters and everything floating around, it just feels like this deck is getting beat around a little bit more than it used to, so it's a little bit harder to use right now. Now, there are other decks that I have been using and covering that have been doing even better than they normally do, Branded Thunder Dragons being one of my favorites and performing phenomenally. We are going to be doing a video on Branded Thunder Dragons tomorrow, so keep an eye out for that. But for today, we're going to look at one of the more negative impacts of the tightening of the metagame. So if you're interested in these types of analysis, then again, feel free to subscribe. We do deck profiles, we do streams. I'm actually going to be streaming the day on which I'm recording this, which will be a few days ago by the time you're watching it. So we do live streams, we do viewer games, we do deck profiles, analysis, anything basically at all Master Duel related. We typically find a way to do it on the channel, so if you're interested in any of that, again, feel free to subscribe. It doesn't cost you anything, helps me out, helps you out, and like the video if you do actually enjoy watching. And without further ado, let's get into game number 1. Alright, now I do want to begin by tackling the elephant in the room, the Spright matchup. In this occasion, we're going against a Tri-Brigade Spright deck. Our opponent starting off with Fractal, Kit, Nerval, as every Tri-Brigade player does. They're going to grab their Karas here. Karas is then going to banish one card from their graveyard, going to go into Lightheart, and then they're going to link off into Spright Elf. Spright Elf's going to revive the Kit from their graveyard, so Kit can now use its effect. It's going to banish 2 from grave to now summon out the Berberum. Now they're going to exceed summon into the gigantic Spright. So these guys are playing the I'm learning a lot more from these guys about how to play the Tri-Brigade version of the deck, and I'm getting it really. It is definitely pretty damn strong. Then I'm going to Sip 3 and pass. So they've got their banish off of their Revolt, they've got their Carrot, they've got all sorts of stuff going on here. Our hand isn't exactly the greatest, but we're going to see just how heavily the control aspect limits the ability for Phantom Knights to maneuver. So they are going to Carrot negate our trap card, which is unfortunate. We wanted to use that as an extender with this particular hand. They're going to send Kit and send their Vol, grabbing Karas yet again, comboing off and grabbing themselves a follow-up. They've got the Max C again, Max C, instant sort of L here. There's no way we can play through all the Spright plays and the Shureg and the Max C. Simply not possible, so we just had to scoop it up. But yeah, it's just a little bit difficult. There's this sort of Spright matchup. It is very, very tough. Right, and this happens more often than not depending upon their setup. But not only is a Spright board somewhat difficult to play through most of the time, because the attack points of all of their monsters are relatively low, you can't even realistically or reliably do the Arc Rebellion Exceed Dragon OTK, so you can't even really OTK them going second either. There's too many choke points within your combos at which you can be completely shut down by Spright if they know what to target and when to target it. And again, if you're playing in Diamond, people are going to know what to target and when to target it. Adventure Phantom Knights is not new. Sprights is new, right? So people are learning Sprights. They already know Phantom Knights. They know what to hit and when to hit it. So it's a very tough matchup, so it is. In particular, we have one or two other Spright games as well I want to show off, but that's just sort of like the first one. Let's get into game 2. Alright, now this particular match is yet again against Spright, as you're going to see here. This is against pure Spright, I believe. It is going to be a bit longer. This is going to be a bit of a better game to demonstrate the relationship between the two decks. And our hand here that we've got isn't exactly terrible. The Forbidden Droplet, though, is going to be key to us trying to get any plays off. And that's the thing, like whenever you're going second with this deck, it doesn't feel nearly as strong as it used to. It used to be quite decent going second, whereas right now it really has lost that edge. They're going to go Elf. Elf's going to grab them back, the Spright Blue. They're going to link off into IP Masquerena now. They're going to go Spright Starter, summoning out Red from deck. That gives them a negate, a quick play, Link Summon, as well as a resummon from their graveyard off of Elf as well. I believe they have Carrot in grave, so they're able to resummon. Oh no, they have Blue in grave, sorry. So they're going to summon out blue. Blue's going to search their deck for Jet for some follow-up on next turn. And it gives red a free sort of tribute, basically. So he's able to tribute off the blue here. Now we're going to chain our droplet. We decide we're going to pitch the Artifact Safe and the Griffin Rider. Was that the correct play? I can imagine not everyone being super happy with that play. The reason we did it that way is we wanted to summon out our boots, then we were going to link off into something to put them both into the graveyard. Boots banished to resummon both. So there really was a choice to be made in terms of what we were going to get rid of. We were going to try to really win the game this turn. So we decided, you know what, we're just going to have to go for it. We're just going to have to try to win the game right now. They're going to banish our boots though, which really does slow us down, but we were somewhat prepared for it. We're going to grab our Ancient Cloak from the graveyard off of our Fog Blade. We're going to go into the Knights of Breaksword. Breaksword going to remove Ethereal, pop itself, and the Elf. Breaksword then going to activate, summoning out two of our Ancient Cloak and our Torn Scales as level 4, so we can Exceed summon into Raider's Knight. Raider's Knight detaching a material to summon out the Arc Rebellion Exceed Dragon. We activate this now. I was just trying to put additional attack points on board, but then we realized it's simply not feasible. Because the Arc Rebellion Exceed Dragon is normally a really, really good OTK tool, but in this occasion, because the Sprite monsters are naturally just so weak in terms of just raw stats, that actually really hinders our Arc Rebellion Exceed Dragon. So unfortunately we're not able to do an awful lot here, given that we should have done this the other way around. We should have detached this first and then used Cloak and blah blah blah. It wouldn't have made a massive difference though, so we're not going to worry too much about it. Our 5800 attack dragon though is on the board. They're going to summon out their Jet. Jet's going to grab them Sprite Starter directly from the deck. They're going to use Ronin Totem, banishing Swap Frog to summon Ronin out to the field before link summoning off into Sprite Elf once more. Sprite Elf, of course, being a bit of a problem, reviving that blue back to the field, grabbing them Carrot from deck. Yet another summon. They're going to summon out the Carrot before Exceed summoning into the Soul Sweeper, which is actually pretty problematic. It banishes our Rebellion Dragon until the end of next turn, which does... It is a bit of a problem because we're going to need to find some way to generate resources now on our turn to keep ourselves in the game. Unfortunately, we just draw into a trap card, which does virtually nothing for us. We set 2 and we simply pass. We just need to get something. Our Rebellion Dragon does come back, but he still has Exceed material, so he can simply banish it again. We do lose our attack point bonus as well. We activate our Shade of Brigadine. The Shade of Brigadine is going to come out to the field here. That's fine. He didn't negate it, which is good for us. He's going to use his Soul Sweeper here, wiping out our Rebellion Dragon until next turn yet again. He gets rid of the Carrot right here, and we decide that this is the one opportunity we're going to get to use our trap card. What that means is the first time our monster here would be destroyed by battle, it is not. So our opponent swings in, doesn't destroy it. I think he just assumes that it can't be destroyed by battle for the rest of the turn, because he just ends his turn, which was really weird. We're going to go Call by the Grave. Again, I think we did Call by the Grave specifically just to get him to trigger off the Carrot. I don't believe there was any other point to that. Yes, we wanted him to trigger off the Carrot so we could use the trap card in our graveyard free of charge. Luckily, he did take the bait, but again, it's really, really difficult to make a serious play here. We go into Nightmare Phoenix, because if we had gone into Verte Anaconda, well, he simply would have tributed with his red, negated and destroyed us, and that doesn't accomplish anything, really. So we go into Phoenix just to give us a bigger monster to deal some damage. He is going to now link off into Nightmare Unicorn, which is a bit of a problem. He's going to spin back to our deck the Arc Rebellion Exceed Dragon. Sprite Starter bringing out the Sprite Blue directly from his deck. Our opponents only got 1200 life points, but we've only got 4700, and it doesn't look like we're going to be surviving this turn at this rate. They're going to go into the Sky Cavalry Centuria. Centuria is going to take out our Phoenix, but we do survive. He does not have the capacity for lethal, so we have one last card we can draw, and we draw into Water Enchantress, which would normally be really, really good, but they just happen to have the Ash Blossom. There's not much you can do about that. We drew the out, but it just wasn't enough, and I think at this point we scoop it up. We do, yeah. It is what it is, you know. There's only so far you can push a game. Just the resources and the follow-up and the continual sort of looping that Sprite does makes it virtually impossible for Adventure Phantom Knights to keep up, because that's normally our game, right? Normally our game is we can keep coming at you, and we can like OTK you with the dragon, and our first turn boards are nutty, but like Spright just, it's not that they do all of that better per se, but it's just they make it extremely difficult for you to make those plays, and it just gets real messy real fast. So there's game number 2. Again, it is unfortunate. All of these games are going to be L's, by the way. I want to show off its negative matchups as per my explanation at the beginning of the video. This isn't like a deck profile, but either way, let's get into game 3. Not only do we have a new deck in the form of Sprites kicking our ass, we've also got some new cards in terms of the Punk cards kicking our ass, which is pretty interesting. We're up against a Furion Punk deck, which I didn't realize was an actual thing, but apparently it is. They're going to go Furion King Regulus here, equipping on the Borea from the graveyard. Borea then pitching itself to grab them Furion Cross directly from their deck. They're going to set a card and end their turn. So I looked at this and thought, you know what, this is an easy game. They've got 2 negates. We can play through 2 negates like it's nobody's business. We're going to pitch Ancient Cloak to Grave. We're going to activate Ancient Cloak's effect, getting rid of it to try and add another Phantom Knight to hand. There is an Ash Blossom. Okay, so 3 negates. 3 negates isn't terrible. I can still play through the 2 he has. We're keeping our Fusion Destiny to last. We want to use it last. We activate our trap card, summon out our Silent Boots. We're going to go in the Phoenix, forcing him to use his Furion Cross here. Our Enchantress is just as valuable to us in the graveyard as it is in the hand. So we're basically just forcing him into using the Cross. So that's fine. So the Phoenix is gone, all part of the plan. We're literally just whittling down his resources until he cannot negate our Fusion Destiny. That is our one and only objective. We're going to go Enchantress next. He has to negate this. He has to negate the Rite of Aramis here with Furion here. He cannot let this go through. Okay, he let it go through, right. We activate Fearful Adventure. He's got Ghost Ogre. That's a problem, because that was sort of our last layer of protection before we could activate our Fusion Destiny. So we decided, you know what? We're just going to set our trap, and we're going to leave it. We're going to leave it. We didn't set the Phantom Knight's wing. We probably should have, but we just didn't. We're going to flip up our Fog Blade. He is going to allow Fog Blade to resolve now, which is pretty interesting. He is going to have the Xiamen on board. Xiamen, of course, no longer of any use, but he has the freaking, what was that, Foxy? Alright, a lot of stuff happening on screen right now. He had the Foxy Tune in hand, so Foxy Tune was able to summon out another one from deck. Going into the Chaos Ruler now, this is where his deck gets nutty, right? This deck is so cool. And part of the reason I wanted to show it off as well. So Deer Note's going to basically summon out the Foxy Tune to his field. He's going to now check the top 5 cards of his deck for a light or a dark monster and then add it to his hand. Anything else going straight to the graveyard. He grabs another Ghost Ogre. Really effective use of that card, which is great. He's going to now go into the Zombie Vampire, sending the top 4 cards of both players' deck to the graveyard and grabbing any monster among them that he wants. He's going to summon out the Borea, banish 2 to summon back the Chaos Ruler. I think he's got more than enough damage to go for lethal, but that's not going to stop him. He's going to go into number 97, using its effect to summon out number 100, the Numeron Dragon, detaching material, boosting itself up by 1000 per rank on the field, 17 over 2k, easy 15,000 lethal. So yeah, it's not just Spright. The new Punk support also really hurts. That deck was cool as hell. Really loved it. Again, that was partially me wanting to show a negative matchup, and partially me just wanting to give credit where credit was due, because that was awesome. I am totally going to copy that, and we might do a deck profile on it soon. But no, absolutely, really cool game from our opponent there. Let's get into the final game. Alright, getting into our 4th and final game here. We actually get to go first for once in our damn lives. We're going to grab Ancient Cloak off of our reinforcements of the army so that we have something to banish off of a Allure of Darkness. We do, of course, get negated because, of course, we do. Why wouldn't we? We do go for Caught by the Grave, though, to stop that Ash Blossom, which is just fine then. So Ash Blossom does, in fact, get negated, which is perfect. That means our Allure of Darkness is going to grab us 2 cards, and then we have to banish a Dark Monster in our hand. We do banish the Ancient Cloak. We can revive it later off of Leviair if we need to. We're going to go the Rite of Aramis here. We're going to grab our 2 cards here. We're going to pitch to the Ancient Cloak from deck to graveyard. Ancient Cloak now banishing itself to add another Phantom Knight card to hand. We're going to go for Torn Scales. We'll normal summon Torn Scales, grabbing our Draco back. Now that we have a Phantom Knight monster, we can summon out the Phantom Knights of Silent Boots. We're also going to grab our Griffin Rider as well while we're at it. So this is going to be a pretty impressive board here. We're going to go Griffin Rider, then we can special summon the Boots, linking off into Artifact Dagda. Now we're going to activate Boots. We're going to banish it from Graveyard to grab the Phantom Knight's Fog Blade from our deck. Then Torrent Scales will summon itself out to the field, pitching Fog Blade to essentially send another Phantom Knights card from deck to Graveyard. That will trigger the Dagda, which was our main objective. We are going to send now another copy of Silent Boots to the Graveyard, purely so we have another monster in grave to summon off of banishing our Fog Blade. So now we can link off into Predaplant Verte Anaconda. Using Verte Anaconda, we will summon out DPE. So this is Griffin Rider, this is Scythe, and this is the DPE. So that's pretty damn good. We're going to go DPE off the bat. He's going to go Infinite Impermanence, and he's negating the Griffin Rider. And right away, I thought like, okay, well, something about this doesn't add up. That's not quite right. He pops the 2 cards. He very, very clearly wasn't worried about me popping the Scythe here. And this is why he has Called by the Grave of his own. Really, really detrimental. He stops our Artifact Scythe, which means essentially that gives up 2 of our major interruptions free of cost. We got rid of our own Scythe, and DPE now cannot be used this turn because it's already been used, and our Griffin Rider is already negated. It looks like we're playing against Mathmex, which is a big old problem because Mathmex are a 1-card engine. They're going to go into Circular, sending Sigma, summon Sigma out to trigger off the effect of the Circular to search the deck for the Super Factorial. We still have the face down Droplet, so what we're going to do is we're going to wait until he goes into Alimbertion, then we're going to activate the Droplet to stop him from searching for the third Mathmech he needs to create a live Super Factorial, and it's also going to stop him from then tributing it to resummon another monster from his graveyard, which should hopefully slow him down quite a bit. We're also going to trigger off our Draco back, equipping it back onto our monster, but he just normal summons Picari. He hasn't even normal summoned, and now Picari is going to give him almost instantaneous 1-card access to his entire freaking deck. He's going to grab the field spell from his deck here. Activating Imichi is going to reveal a fire monster to grab his Achichi straight from the deck as well. Going to link 2 off into Cyber's Wicked. I'm going to speed this up because you're likely very familiar with the Cyber's combos here. The AI land summoning out the Achichi from the hand here. He's going to banish a monster from his graveyard to add a Cyber's Tuner to his hand here, while also searching his deck for any Adagnister monster, grabbing the Doyon. Doyon then of course being a dark monster, which is going to be very useful in just a moment. He's going to link off yet again into Splash Mage, which will allow him to summon out the Baruru to his field, sending in the Kichiri from deck to graveyard, summoning out Picari from grave, synchro summoning off into the Pegasus, triggering off the Baruru to summon out the Picari, popping 2 off of the Pegasus, going into the Update Jammer plus Splash Mage into Transcode revives the Update Jammer, link summons off finally into Access Code Talker, able to attack twice and boost itself up to 5300 attack points. It's able to inflict 38 over the Dagda, and finally 48 over our Verte. So that is unfortunately game over for us. Again, Cybers, it's just one of those decks where they can play through so much interruption, and they can play around so many different types of cards and floodgates. They have all of these different win conditions. Again, it's just one of those decks that make it so difficult for Adventure Phantom Knights to keep up, and it's just one of those things. I needed to show off Mathmech at least once, because Mathmech's still freaking balling out here. Like, Mathmech is still phenomenal. Don't count them out just because Sprite's the new and shiny toy. But no, Mathmech are just as good. We're not going to be doing a card for card deck profile because, you know, that's not what this is. This is an analysis. But I just wanted to float the idea out there that what other decks like this do you feel like are getting absolutely shafted in this new meta? I feel like Adventure Phantom Knights is definitely one of the ones. And by shafted the most, I don't mean like, oh, it's really bad, because like a lot of decks are just always really bad. I mean like what was really good top rogue tier sort of material that just all of a sudden plummeted in its utility. Let me know what you think down below, or you can hop into the Discord, throw a few ideas out, or if you saw like issues or you have problems with the gameplay, if you feel like you would have made different decisions, if you feel like the deck list is different, or whatever it is, you can of course hop into the Discord and let me know directly. Throw in your feedback. I never claim to be a professional, I don't claim to be the best, so if you have any useful feedback and you want to throw it my way, why not? I can't stop you. And with that being said, if you got this far into the video and you haven't liked it yet and you haven't subscribed to the channel, then I don't know what you're doing. You might as well. If you've got this far, obviously you liked it. You didn't just skip to the last freaking 2 minutes of the video. So feel free to subscribe, like the video, and I will see you all in the next one when we're covering off something a little bit more positive.